चकरला क्लिप कहाँ है? क्लिप कहाँ है? क्लिप लगा लगा चालू है.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Matsamo nasi papa manaparadich kashana parihare pilanjame kimruve purushottama yavatinam yata yune yunam cha yavatau yata mano birmate tadvan mano me ramatam tvayi bhumau skalita paranam bhumire vavalambanam tvayi jata paranam tvameva sharanam bravo Govinda Balave Radhe Prate Tamaham Sada Twadiyam Iti Janatu Govindam Mam Tvaya Saha Radhe Vrindavanadi Shekaranam Rittavahani Kripaya Nijapadamja Samayam Pradiyatam Hantaya Madhura Balahadida Savaryo Yadrama Krishna Charanashparasha Pramodaha Manam Tanoti Sahago Ganayostayo Paniya Suya Pasakanda Kanda Mulai. I first offer my respectful obeisances to His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who saved me, saved the whole world through the merciful distribution of the Transcendental Holy Name, Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, Sri Upanishad, Nectar of Devotion. He brought all of the most important teachings of the Sampradaya. And just as the Goswamis did, as mentioned, Nana Shastra Vicharanaika Nipano Sadharma Samstapako. Samstapako, stapako, comes from the word stitaha, which in English is to stand. They give us standing. In the material world, we have no standing. We're vagrants. We're being moved on at every moment. We can't stay anywhere. And like a nomadic group, Brahmanda Brahmate Kund Bhankyavanji, Guru Krishna Prasadi Pai Bhakti Lata Beach. Wandering, loitering, until we're pushed on again. We're forced from one position to the next in the material world. Karmana daivanetrena jantor deho papate striya pravishta udaram pumso reta kanashraya. Kapila Dev says, we were forced to enter into various wombs in this world. And we're, by the force of the powerful three modes of material nature, Purusha prakritisto hi bhunkte prakriti jan gunam karanam guna sangosya sarasat yoni janmasu. We're buffeted from one place to the next, and by our current association with various types of people, entities, we imbibe, drink in various modes of material nature, which then karmana force us to take birth in some other place. So how would one become extricated from this process of samsara, meaning we flow from one place to the next without any power of our own? There has to be an intervention. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told Sanatana Goswami, Maya mugda jivara nahi swata Krishna gyan, jivara kripaya koila Krishna Veda Puran. There's a rescue mission at hand coming from Krishna. He wants to rescue all the living entities from the material world. And he sends out his agents all over the universe. Even Lord Shiva has a kirtan party. Gopakumar saw the party of Lord Shiva coming down into the material world. He lives in the middle region. You know, Goloka namni nijadamnita leta tasya devi mahesha haridama sateshu teshu. Te te prabhava nichaya vihitasya yena govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. We're in Devi Dham, but above Devi Dham's Mahesh Dham. Even Mahesh comes down and does kirtan here. And then there's Vyasadeva, who's empowered representative, the literary incarnation, who gives us the information of the spiritual world through which we can understand the real purpose of life. Sambandha, making a relationship with Krishna. Abhideya, the practice through which we thicken that relationship. And prayojana, the perfection of it. And so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said it's not automatic that any living being will want to come out of the material nature. Prabhupada told the story about how Indra, he had been cursed and he took a low birth as a pig, but then when Brahma and others came and told him, you come back to your station, he said, why, I'm fine. It's the potency of Maya. Prabhupada said, if you ask any person, how are you doing? He said, I'm fine. And Prabhupada mentioned that he had a colleague who was in the hospital with tubes coming out of every orifice. And he said, how are you doing? I'm fine. We're not fine. And so Krishna brings us the tidings from the spiritual world and the process through which we can become extricated from this suffering condition. And it's great news that we have a human form of life where we can take advantage of it. So here we are at Radha Kund. And this is a beautiful architectural place. It's one of the most peaceful places in the Vraj, isn't it?
Yes.
I don't see any monkeys. And it's quiet. And we're at Radha Kund. So we just chanted the Upadeshamrita. There we heard about the hierarchies, starting with Rupa Goswami wrote, Vaikuntash janito vara marupuri tatrapi ratsotsavat vrindaranya mudarapani ramana tatrapi govardhanaha Radha kundamihapi gokulapate premamrita blavana kuryadasya virajato girite sevam vivekinaka. So he said, okay, better than Vaikuntha. Vaikuntash janito vara. Vara means better. Janito vara. Madhupuri is Madhupuri. There are many verses in the Bhagavatamrita listed by Sanatana Goswami from various scriptures about the auspicity of Mathura itself. Say Mathura. Like there are verses there, just by saying Mathura, one achieves complete success in life. Because Krishna was, Vasudeva, Krishna was born there. And Krishna spent time in Mathura. It's his district. In fact, when we come into the country and they say, where are you going? Where are you going to stay? We're staying in the district of Mathura. then you can go. We're staying in Krishna's home. Vara, Vaikuntaj Janito Vara, Marupuri Tatrapi Sotsavad, Vrindaranya Mudara Pani Ramana. So better than Mathura is Vrindavan. And best place in Vrindavan is where Krishna lifted Govardhan Hill with his hand. He lifted it up. Marupuri Tatrapi Ratsotsavad. Vrindaranyan Udara Pani Ramana Tatrapi Govardhana. Radha Kundam Ihapi Gokulapate Primamrita Lavana. And best of all is Radha Kund. Because there is where the love of Radha Krishna overflows. It's the place where they're eternally engaging in the Ashtaka Lila Lila, their eightfold daily pastimes. Radha Kund was revealed by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When he came to Vrindavan, there was no demonstrable place of Radha Kund, but he was looking for it. That means it's here somewhere, or it was there somewhere. It is here somewhere. And as he was looking and asking everyone in the town, where's the Radha Kund? They didn't know. But then Mahaprabhu, because he's Radha and Krishna combined, and could understand or resonate with the loving sentiments of this place, Radha Kund, he saw some small patches of water. Is there a patch of water? It's like little, you can't even say that's why I said patches. It wasn't even a pond. They were almost just nondescript. They were a large puddle. Is there something for a large puddle? Can you accommodate that? Two large puddles in a cow field. And Mahaprabhu then went there and he began bathing in it and exalting that this is the place. This is the Radha Kund. And people there were astonished to see this golden-hued, beautiful sannyasi there taking bath. And he revealed the Radha Kund. And of course, he had the Goswamis here excavate these places. Later on, after Krishna was here, Vajranath, his great-grandson, had brought to light many of the places in Vrindavan to memorialize Krishna's presence here. And over time, they had been lost, so the Goswamis then, by Lord Chaitanya's order, had brought them back. And of course, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came here and revealed the Radha Kunda. So one may then say, well, what's the need for hierarchy? Why are you making all these priorities? Because spiritual life means it's all good. And the opinion of most people, that just means it's all one and the same. Why make any distinction? But this is called shunyavadi. The idea there's nothing really to count. But the beauty of spiritual life is in the hierarchy. Consider music, for instance. Music is a hierarchy of tonalities. Sa, re, ga, ma, pa, da, mi, sa. And it matters which notes you play and what order you play in them. Correct?
Yes.
Please say yes. Modern music, there was John Cage, who experimented with deconstructionist ideas in music, and it was horrific. I mean, that's my opinion. But you know, is the equivalent of nothing matters. Maybe he could hear tonalities, but it was not something that lifted the soul. Screech, scrunch, bang, bang. In the raga, the order of the notes matters. And the fact that there's high note, low note, and all the other notes in between, and there's combinations and permutations of notes. That's what makes it captivating, and that's what carries us away. So the emotion of the spiritual world is included, or to induce the myriad emotions, spiritual emotions, which are what the spiritual world is. It's the interaction of loving affairs between Krishna, his most intimate associates, and everyone together, glorifying Krishna. And this has various modes there are various modes of worship, and there are crescendos also in that. So we can consider that the Radha Kund is a crescendo in the way it's that all of the various modes of worshiping Krishna, of loving Krishna, have their culmination here. And I was considering, when I was thinking about the hierarchy of notes, what's more important. Sometimes that comes up because in the material mindset, we consider hierarchies and, I better climb it so I don't get controlled by someone else or I don't miss out. I want to be on the top. In fact, we discussed this the other day because you asked, shouldn't we be aiming for the top? And we get this idea, okay, I got the bronze medal, darn it. And that person got the gold medal and so forth. There's a sense of hierarchy in the material world also. This is a reflection of the spiritual world. But in the hierarchy of the spiritual world, every level is important. In the overall production of the sound, the music, or the emotion that comes out to glorify Krishna and to bring everyone closer. In the prayer that we find Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu singing, after he sang, as we discussed before, about Srimati Radharani pining for Krishna. And she talks about Panchamajushe. She says that I want to hear the fifth note playing from your flute. What's that? That's pa, sa re ga ma pa. So there's a way in which, why not the top note? Why the fifth note? Well, there's a special resonance to it. And any note in the scale is important because each one supports the other. This is sounding a little abstract, but the fact is that it's an important idea that there's variety in the spiritual world. Some things are considered better than others, but the way it's put by our acharyas, there's perfect, more perfect, and most perfect. But it's all perfection. And within that, there are unlimited combinations and permutations of emotions for Krishna. So, when we come to Radha Kund, we can appreciate the fact that there is a hierarchy and there is a place where Radha and Krishna perform their eternal Leela. As for the mood of our acharyas in coming here, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said he preferred to stay at Govardhan, just down the road from Radha Kund. Not exactly in Radha Kund, in the mood of not being presumptuous and thinking that I belong here. You come here to offer respects, but from a distance, offer obeisances. And furthermore, the approach to discussing the Leela of Radha and Krishna. When Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur came here to lecture for 1 month, many of the Radha Kund Babas, Babajis, came to hear him. And there's a strong contingency of what is called Sahajism. It's actually a line of worship of Krishna, thinking the idea is that we don't need scripture. In fact, they criticized Jiva Goswami, who developed the mainstay of the framework for presenting Gaudiya Vaishnavism, following the mood of Nana Shastra Vichara Naika Nipano Sadharma Samstapako. And they say, he he thought too much. He was too intellectual. And these types of people have the idea that they'll only hear certain kind of lila in Madhurya Ras and so forth. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur had come here, and he spoke only on the first verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam for 1 month. Same verse. Much to the chagrin of some of the people who came, like, let's get to the 10th canto. And it was demonstrative that he was showing that first you have to have adhikari, or qualification, to hear. And in the Srimad Bhagavatam itself, in the pastimes of Radha and Krishna and the Rasa Lila, otherwise known as the Rasa Panchadhyaya, we have Vikriditam Raja Badur Biraham, Idam Cha Vishnu, Shradhan Vitona Shrinu Yad Atavarna Yedya. Bhaktim Param Bhagavati Pratilabhya Kamam Hridrogam Ashva Pahinot Yacharena Dhiraha. Shukadeva Goswami says that by hearing about these pastimes between Radha and Krishna, Krishna and the gopis in the Vraj. Vikriditam Rajavadu means the gopis. Idam Cha Vishnu Shradhan Vito said you must hear it in proper context. You have to have the right shraddha. Your faith has to be properly fixed. Shraddhan Viduna Shrinuyad. You have to hear in that mode. Guided by Shastra, guided by the previous acharyas. Shrinuyad Atavarna Yadya. Bhaktim Param Bhagavati Pratilabhya Kamam. And if you're able to do that with proper guidance, then Bhaktim Param, you can achieve the highest level of bhakti. Bhaktim Param Bhagavati Pratilabhya Kamam. Hridrogam said the dread disease of this material world is kama, or lust. And by hearing with proper faith and context the pastimes of Krishna and the Vrajagopis, then one can overcome lust. Bhaktim Param Bhagavati Pratilabhya Kamam Hrid Rogam Ashvapa Hinot Yacharina. And it happens very quickly by the power of that sound vibration. So our acharyas gave us permission to worship here. In fact, it's the Shastra, and Rupa Goswami, as we were chanting the verses, is pointing in this direction, the last 3 verses of the Upadeshamrita. But we have to keep in mind that it starts with Vachavega Manasakroda Vega. That means, where does it all begin? You start with your tongue. Don't get ahead of yourself. And the Padma Purana echoes that first line of the Upadeshamrita. It says, Atashri Krishna Namadi Nabhaved Graim Indriye Sevan Mukihi Jivado Swayam Eva Spuratyada. So people say, I want the success in yoga. It begins with the tongue. If you can control your tongue, it says, and engage it in seva, then you'll be able to move to higher levels of bhakti. So this is very practical. It begins, jihva means the tongue, adao. That's where it all begins. You control your tongue. And then Prabhupada mentions that controlling the tongue means speaking about Krishna and tasting only Krishna prasadam. Saying, yeah, I've heard that 1,000 times. And it goes in, I don't want to use that cliche, but I hear it and I just think like, yeah, right. Well, why don't you try it? Only eat prasadam, see what happens. Or speak only those things that are necessary for your service. Say 20% less of what you thought was necessary, because it's a vega to want to say something. It's like, just say any old thing for the sake of filling the time and the space. But trim what you say down to the essentials and see how your consciousness improves. And then use your tongue as your rudder in your life, the yoga of the tongue, to speak about Krishna and speak about Krishna's service and to taste Krishna prasadam, honor it. And from that, all of the things are achievable, step by step. The Srimad Bhagavatam says something amazing about the tongue, and that is that if your tongue is controlled, you can understand that all your other senses are controlled. And if your tongue's not controlled, then you can understand that none of your senses are controlled. It's the gateway sense. It's where everything begins. Speaking of beginnings, the pastime of Radha Kund and how it appeared originally in this place is recounted by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur from the 8th chapter of the 10th canto. 8th chapter of the 10th canto is about Krishna killing a Rishtasura, who is a gigantic bull. He was so tall that his tail touched the clouds. And these are fantastical, they sound fantastical. These are living entities who are mystics. They could assume various types of bodies and so forth. And there was an accumulation, as we hear at the very beginning of the 10th canto, of demoniac people here on the planet. It's what, it became a haven, this little boomy planet. It's a nice, gentle little planet. It's so green and nice. Don't you like it here on Earth? I mean, look at these plants. They're beautiful. There's nice air. There's cows walking around. And in the universe, there's parrots, little lovebirds up there. If you listen carefully, they'll tell you the Leela of Radha and Krishna. And demoniac people were coming here to develop their military powers. This is what we hear at the beginning of the Krishna book, where Bhumi realized what was happening. She was feeling a burden on her surface. So she went to Brahma, and they told Brahma that all these demoniac forces are gathering here. Forces, people, demons. And there was a really bad political situation developing. So they all went, that is Bhumi, Brahma, and the Devas went to the shore of the Milk Ocean. It's the Milk Ocean within this universe. And there you have access to pray to Krishna, Shirdakshay Vishnu. So they made a request that please come and lessen the burden. And we know that Krishna appeared. So these various demons then were emissaries to try to get rid of Krishna and continue their demoniac activities. And one of them was Arishtasura. He was well known to the Devas as a horrible person, but he appeared as a bull. So that's a conundrum because we worship bulls. Namo Brahmanya Devaya Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha. Jagaditaya Krishna Govinddevji Namo Namo. It's one of the most prominent prayers. And it works into the story quite nicely because Krishna easily killed Arishtasura. In fact, he was such a gigantic demon, but Krishna was just a little boy, and he nonchalantly killed him. And he wrung him out like a dish rag and smacked him on the floor. Just after hearing that pastime, when we were here in Govardhan, I was walking with Omkar, and we came around the corner, and we saw somebody in a little shop, and they were wringing out a cloth, and they were smacking it on the ground. And we both said, Krishna, Arishtasura. And after he was killed, the gopis chided Krishna and said, you just killed a bull right here in Vraj. So what are you going to do about it? He said, well, he was a demon. It's like, yeah, he was a bull. So you killed him, you should do some prayashchitta. So Krishna, with his lotus heel, made an imprint in the ground. And then because they wanted him to go bathe in all the holy rivers. That's the only way you'll become purified. That's your penance you should perform. So Krishna, okay, I can do it. He put his heel in the ground and he made an indentation. Then, from his mind, he called all of the holy rivers, and they came, personified. And they filled up that place. Krishna took his bath. And he said, okay, I've done my prashchitta. And I said, you can take bath here too. And they said, no, we don't want to take bath in your Kund. So Radharani employed all of her associates. She took her bangle and she started digging. And then they all started digging. And they made a Kund themselves. But what to do about the water? Then all the holy rivers personified came and offered their service to Srimati Radharani, because there was Shama Kund. Now Radha would have her own Kund, and she allowed them to enter that Kund. So it became Shama Kund, Radha Kund. And this is the story Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur tells. And then, as we were chanting the Upadeshamrita earlier, this is the place, the pinnacle of places where Radha and Krishna perform their pastimes. Did you just come in? Oh, okay. I was speaking in a more general way earlier about how to not go beyond our adhikari here, and how Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur had preferred to worship Radha Kund from afar, and how he came here and spoke on the first verse of the Bhagavatam for a month, much to the chagrin of the Sahajas and others who thought, let's go right to the 10th canto. Do I have 5 more minutes? No. Yes? Let's see if you have any reflections. That'll expand the conversation. Reflections or questions? 1, 2. Now that's a disaster right there. You got to turn the speakers. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
So I've heard some different stories about the different kundas. Some devotees say that they've been flipped. Like one was Radha Kund and one was Sham Kund, and they just changed them, and some other pastimes happened. Could you shed light on that? Is this the bigger one is Radharani's and the smaller one is Krishna's, or was there some switch that happened at some point in time?
The big one's Radha Kund, the smaller one on the side is Shama Kund. And that's all I can tell you. I don't know about switching. Who else?
So here, Krishna. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta gave the instruction to Srila Prabhupada on if you ever get money print books, and that was here.
Yes.
So what's the significance for us when we distribute books? It's the instruction that came here. So could you elaborate more on that?
Yes. Tvat pada potena mahatkritena kurvanti govatsa bhavam labdim. What Prabhupada writes in the 2nd canto of the Bhagavatam in the matter of the Chaturshloki, that the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is a manifestation of his internal potency. And it is by that potency that one comes to see the Lord face to face. There are various instructions or orders that come from the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his representatives. For instance, Lord Chaitanya says that you should go and preach to everyone. Wherever you go, whomever you meet, you should teach them about Krishna. That's an open order. Anybody can take it. And there are also very specific orders that we get by our very fortunate association with the Guru Parampara. And one of those instructions came through Srila Bhaktisiddhanta. When we were just in Puri, we were remembering how our Srila Prabhupada had written to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta requesting him yet again, a fortnight before Srila Bhaktisiddhanta left the world, how can I serve you? And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta wrote back and asked him again to preach in the West. And he said, it'll do good. be good for you, it'll be good for all of them to help you to spread this. And Prabhupada was meticulous in following the instruction of his spiritual master. He made it the focal point of his practice, and he frequently mentioned this. He said he had a revelation about it when he read the commentary to Vyavasayatmika Buddhir Ekeha Kurunandana in the Bhagavad Gita, in which our acharyas have said that this focus that Krishna is talking about, that's all important, the ultimate object of focus, of meditation, it can be achieved by following the order of the spiritual master. So Srila Prabhupada, whenever he was lauded for his success in spreading Krishna consciousness, referred to this and said, it's because I'm following the order of my spiritual master. That's where he said that the success comes from. Hearken back to what I said 3 minutes ago, that the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is a manifestation of his internal potency. And it's by that potency that one comes to see the Lord face to face. So consider that if you can get an order, and if it's something specific, perhaps all the better, and then you can enact it. So one of the reasons that we have a Sri Guru Parampara so we can receive such instruction. And when we have something so specific, then we don't have to speculate very much. We can stick to it. Being part of the BBT for some years and listening to the trustees talk about the legacy, passing it down, there are so many things I wasn't aware of even before I became involved as a director in the BBT, of specific things Prabhupada wanted and said about printing and distributing and so forth. And the more you can refine your knowledge of the order and then carry it out, the more you can achieve this vyavasayatmika buddhiya, an intelligence that's fixed on one thing, and that is to complete the order, carry out the order of Krishna through this Sri Guru Parampara. And that becomes our guiding principle. And that's where all success comes from. So you have all of Canada to focus on, to expand that order. And as far as I could see, you go to almost every temple in Canada every year to mention this, because people forget. And even when Prabhupada was here, he said, practically I'm whipping them. Distribute books, distribute books, distribute books. But there were lots of places where people didn't even consider that important, where they said, he meant something else or whatever. So it's important to bring our focus back again and again to not only the instruction, but also the mood of it and how to carry it out. The mood and the mission, both things are important. Divyanam Prabhu's looking to move us to the next location. Thank you very much, everyone, for such a reverent approach to Shri Radha Kund. I felt like we were successful in coming to enter Radha Kund, and we got some time together there on the banks to utter prayers. Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhu, go ahead.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj, for it's a very special place, and it's always nice to be at Radha Kund with you, especially because, as you said, it's important who we know, so our access to Radha Kund is through you, and it's a real privilege to sit on the banks of Radha Kund and worship Srimati Radharani through those beautiful verses of Nectar of Instruction, Brahma Samhita, so thank you. So dear devotees, we are going to be moving out now. We won't be going back to where we were dropped off by the rickshaw, so please follow the Harinam party, and we will lead you out to the Radha Kund, because that way we will complete the entire parikrama. So we are here in the courtyard. In Radha Kund also there are 7 Goswami temples, and this is Shri Radha Govinddevji temple. You can take the darshan of the deities here as you leave from here. And when you go out, if you need to use the washroom, towards your right hand side there's a washroom. Please do
use the water in the sense of, keeping the bathrooms clean when you finish. That's a request from the people here. And there are also washrooms at ISKCON Bhaktivedanta Ashram when you get there. So we'll be now going to ISKCON Bhaktivedanta Ashram. I just need few volunteers to help Raj Prabhu quickly fold these mats and the chairs so we can put them in the rickshaws and take them to our next spot. So just if you could have some show of hands for devotees who can help. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, great. So yeah, if you could just help Raj Prabhu put everything together, then we can move to the next location.
One request, stay absorbed at the Harinam Sankirtan as it goes. Don't straggle and talk, but stay fixed on the Harinam party all the way till we get to the rickshaws. Dear Srila Prabhupada, dear Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Shri Shri Panchatattva Visodhasaya, please let us take the mood of Shri Shri Radha Kund with us to the west and distribute it to everybody door to door. Thank you for considering our request. Om Tat Sat. Vanchakalpadavrischa kripasandabheva patitanam pavanabhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha nam takoti vaishnaviniki jai. Harinam.
Jai. Jai.